Welcome to BrotoGP. This is episode number 94. We're coming at you after the Mugello round, which was freaking amazing for a bunch of different reasons. Maybe not the most exciting race, but we have so much to talk about. Jorge Lorenzo finally silenced the haters, maybe. Marquez finally fully crashed. A bunch of Italians podiumed. And Dani Pedrosa might be retiring. So let's get moving on this one.
What up, what up, what up? I'm sitting in this static perfect position because Rob has let me know that my in and out movement apparently causes too much friction. Normally, my in and out movement causes no friction because there's a solid amount of lubricant keeping that from being too friction oriented, but apparently Rob doesn't enjoy that. So
You had to go there.
Had to go there. I am Kevin from BrotoGP. Above me, live from the Writer's Law Studios, is Rob. And below me, OG bottom bitch himself, Dennis, with the sweetest new mic. And now all of you are going to hear in 3, 2, 1 his amazing voice go.
Amazing voice. Go.
Jesus fuck. I'll guarantee you guys, when he talks, there's no friction for anyone. No friction at all.
Cream and panties for days.
Smooth as silk.
Mantequilla.
The real mantequilla.
Come on, Kev, give us some martillo. That's what we really want here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hammer.
I thought live from the Writer's Law studio was pretty good.
That was pretty solid. Everyone thinks I actually do have a studio. They don't realize that I have 2 shop lights like hanging from my desk and just my computer sitting in here. So
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Like
I
even
even
what?
Rob is being mad humble, guys. His house is so dope. It's like a really, really nice house. I know because I bombed it. I just showed up here. I Ubered over there, got dropped off, had nowhere to go. I'm here. What's up? Let's do this.
Yeah, that happened.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think of the 4 of the BrotoGP cast, Kevin is the only one that's been in each of our houses. But I haven't been to
Yes.
Kevin's, I haven't been to Rob's or even Everett's house.
Everett's house, he's moving, but Everett's has got a nice pad too. He's got like a really good like Euro condo. It's surprisingly large.
Wait, but he's moving to Sacramento, right?
He's
buying
moving
a
to
house out there.
Sacktown. Exactly. Making deals. Mover and a shaker.
Yeah, right. Trading up from the Bay Area craziness to the land out in Sacramento.
You might all wonder why I sound so subdued. It's not sadness due to being blocked by Moto Matters and David Emmett. It's I haven't eaten anything in like 7 hours. This Kit Kat is my dinner. So real quick, because some of you listen on the station, some of you listen audio only, but if you're on the podcast, you're going to see the way that I like to eat Kit Kats.
On the YouTubes.
Oh
my God. Did you really just do that?
No.
That's wrong.
No.
He didn't even break one off, people. He just took a chunk out of 2 of them.
I don't see any cops.
Hold on. I'm gonna swat you right now. I'm swatting you right now, bro.
Jesus, yeah, please exactly. Don't. So if Kevin gets swatted, he may have to call a lawyer. And of course, you know that this podcast is brought to you by the amazing lawyers, Cy and Lawyer Rob over at Writer's Law. Dennis is rocking one of the OG shirts down there.
Always.
I've failed miserably at wearing Writer's Law gear, but I got the banner. I will duck out of the way. I got the amazing Writer's Law banner. So everyone watching on YouTube knows that it is spelled with a Z. Writer's Law with a Z right here. So yes, I was told not to give out their phone number last episode, but please check out writerslaw.com if you need any legal help, especially if you're in the state of California. If you'd like to not pay anything for said legal help, unless and Writer's Law doesn't get paid until they win for you. They will not charge you a cent until they win. If you think that'll work out for you, please give them a call. If you need legal help, they're amazing lawyers. They're doing amazing things for motorcycling as a whole. They support injuries. They support riders that need their help. They obviously support us. They support motorcycle racing through their Moto America team. And actually, Writer's Law is going to have a humongous rig, 5 riders at the Laguna Seca round coming up in 3 weeks. I was actually just working in my garage before recording this episode with Fabian to get his bike painted and my bike painted so they both look tits, so you can recognize us out on the track. But
You
yeah.
want to see those Riders Law bikes looking tits because they work pro boner.
Man, now I'm a little bit bummed out. I'm gonna miss Laguna Seca this year. Actually, sounds epic.
Yeah, god damn it, Dennis. Why aren't you coming? But you're gonna make Sonoma though, right?
I'm gonna make Sonoma. I'll be right there. I'm actually
Do you
gonna be
wanna
your no. I'll be your pit bitch, but I'm also gonna have a GoPro strapped on a chesty harness on me.
I was actually thinking about buying one of you two like the gimbal thing for your phone so we can record shit for YouTube like around the pits. Because
You
they're
don't
only
need a
like
gimbal.
$120 now.
I got you, man. I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I want you to like at Sonoma there might actually be enough cell phone service to YouTube live directly
Oh,
to
that one. Okay.
our YouTube. I
That'd be
mean, all
sweet.
you fans want to see me qualify for Sonoma, right? And all the stress that it is changing tires and fucking having to watch people do the tire change, even though I want to get in there myself.
That sounds really cool, but what everyone wants to do is get wasted with me and get super sunburned. So that's what's going to actually happen.
Hashtag white guy problems.
Hashtag white guy problems. Exactly. Yeah. I get like a thin veneer of like full body herpes if I'm in the sun for like more than 30 minutes, whereas Dennis gets like a perfect like bronzed, like painted on like Mr. Universe, just perfectly bronzed on the sheen. The light catches it. The sweat just glistens off his body.
Yeah,
It's
basically, I
really a
glisten.
sight to
I
behold.
glisten.
Right.
You know, there was a commercial out not too long ago that said that men should never glisten. So I'm not so sure about that.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, when Dennis glistens, it's not really like a man glistening. It's like it's the personification of masculinity itself. So it's not that a man is glistening. It's like Eros itself is glistening.
Right. See,
It's
there's
like,
men glistening, and then there's Dennis glistening.
right. There's Dennis
wow.
glistening is like even Zeus up on Mount Olympus pauses in double takes.
Wow.
Speaking of the epitome of masculinity, should we actually start talking about motorcycle racing now?
Yes, absolutely.
I feel
Right.
like we're 7 minutes in, and I feel like our listeners would love to hear about that.
Well,
So
let me start it off, all right? Can we just take a moment at how perfect of an Italian Grand Prix this was? I mean, especially coming from the French GP and how kind of lackluster or disappointing the result was. Instead, we have like this perfect race where we have a factory Ducati 1-2, two Italians on the podium, and the return of Mantequilla. I mean, I couldn't have scripted that myself, man.
Listen to his fucking voice, people.
Oh my God.
Fucking for reals. He could read the dictionary right now. Dude could pull out like page 372 of Obamacare, like a line item 73-A-subsection 2 and read it. And I'd just be like 12 o'clock. Boom. Boom.
Oh, I did not need that mental image.
Doesn't
I did
matter that
not.
Jorge led from the start. There was no pass for the lead and go. Dennis is going to make you think this was sex on wheels, people. Sex on wheels.
Actually,
Listen.
you really did kind of get me going there, Dennis, because before talking about that, I remembered that Jorge led from the start and that it wasn't actually my ideal podium. I would rather have Dovizioso have taken the win and Jorge second. But then you say that, and now I'm kind of a fan.
Well, I'll tell you this much, right? Jorge's back, like the old Jorge, which there's nothing exciting about his metronomic pace. But the fact is, we haven't seen that in such a long time. We've been wanting to see it, and to see it in the Ducati, it was exciting the whole time. It was boring.
Yeah,
It's a
I will
new
never
story.
complain.
It's a
Exactly.
story, right? Change
Yeah.
of pace. It's a twist. It's a
Right.
it's a new event. So I mean, no one wants to see him reel off 5 more wins like that, but 2 more, and then like maybe it rains and he gets 17th because he can't ride in the rain, and then he gets another win. Like it's a new story. It's the resurrection. It's
Right.
interesting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and like Rob and I were talking like before the podcast and stuff. Like, it got kind of boring just hating on him. Like, it was funny at first, like, oh, bro, he can't ride at all. This is hilarious. Like, this disaster is fucking amazing. And then slowly but surely, it was like, It was like watching a drunk dude fight someone. At first, it's funny, but then he's like falling over. His pants are off. He's like falling into like the swamp.
Old George.
Old George, right? It's like not. It's like a strip not funny more. It was kind of sad. Like I started to feel bad for him. Like me and Remy were talking like about how like now it's kind of sad because he's like his life is in the shitter. Like this isn't fun anymore. It's way more fun to root against Ric Flair when he's the champ. You know what I mean? Like it's way more fun to root against Ric Flair when the ref's not looking and he pokes him in the eyes, hits him with the low blow, and then gets the 1, 2, 3, right? That's when it's fun. No one enjoys the jobber getting destroyed. No one enjoys, like, in UFC, the guy who used to be good. Like, no one wants to watch Chuck Liddell get knocked out for the 50th time. Like, just retire, bro. So him winning has me excited because I can feel good about hating him again.
Right. Yeah, we
I
like
can feel good about talking shit.
we like beating guys down that are up top, not beating a dead horse. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Well, so the thing about Jorge's performance, like I wasn't expecting it for the whole weekend, but the thing that really got me was that he came out the past 2 race rounds and said, "I'm having arm pump issues. I'm blaming the bike. I'm blaming the ergonomics of the GP18." He gets the new tank and he actually performs. He actually goes out and wins the race. Normally when people do that, like Cal Crutchlow complained years ago that he didn't have the factory gas tank. He got the factory gas tank and went fucking slower. Right? Most of the time when people complain, they run their mouth about technical problems with the motorcycle, especially things that are very specific like this. They get the change. It doesn't actually do what they needed to do. Jorge Lorenzo did exactly the opposite. He kind of silenced the haters. Like we were talking mad shit about how he is a professional athlete. He is in the form of his life. He shouldn't be getting arm pump. And yet he fixes it. He gets the gas tank and fixes what seemed to be all of his problems.
I mean, instead of losing his new gut that he has, he just waited for Ducati to make something to fit his gut. I'm not joking. Go look at pictures of him. The bro has a punch straight up. Dude, he's got.
I don't think I have a picture of that one in here.
No, but I gotta send you something. So
I want to say he's always had that. He's that kind of guy that even though he's fit, they've got that jutting kind of midsection, even though it's fit as fuck.
I mean, he's bloated, man. It looks like he's knee deep in his period. I mean, it's just brutal.
Is that tampon streak,
it's a heavy flow day. It's a heavy flow. Right? I mean, let's get real what happened with Jorge. For like the past 18 months, he's felt like not so fresh.
Are you really going to go here? No, don't do it, Kev. Abandon ship.
All right.
I'm going to play a video now of him crossing the line.
Okay, he's playing a video.
Just of him winning.
Jorge's winning the race. And I want to point out something. Rob said that he silenced the haters. No, he did not.
That was a question.
He fully galvanized the haters. I know, because I'm lead hater. I'm like the captain of haters. I'm like, this is Sparta hater. Like when the MotoGP English journalists sent like their envoy to us to like, because we're trying to get big time, I kicked him down a hole full of booze and said, like, this is the Broto Nation. Like, I'm the king hater. And I'm stoked that he won because I get to hate way more now. Unleash the hate. To quote Clayton Bigsby, if you got hate in your heart, let it out. I will not quote Clayton Bigsby on any other stretch of the term. If you look him up, I will not quote that. It's a fucked up Chappelle Show reference. No, but for real, I'm as lead hater, at least lieutenant hater. I don't actually wish ill will on him. It's an inverse relationship. As lieutenant hater of Jorge, I actually want him to do super well because it makes the story more interesting. Like, look, watching Marquez reel it all off isn't more fun. Watching Ducati spend too much money in Wall. Everyone knows, like, I'm a big Ducati fan. The best bike I ever had in all of my riding was my 900 SS. It was named Charlene, and it was my fucking first love and my only love. But like, I'm glad he won. I'm kind of bummed that he did it after basically he's going to be gone from Ducati. I think it sucks. It took a whole year to do it. It was fun for a while, but to watch him wallow and watch Ducati waste their development, wasn't too good, but I'm stoked that he won, and I think it's great for MotoGP. We need that villain. Jorge has that chance. Like, he has the ability to be that villain that we need. And I mean, it's like Loki, right? In the MCU, he was at first the bad guy and you hated him, but eventually you could actually be such a good villain. You could come around the backside and get cheered for. I like that he's super awkward and terrible.
I don't think Loki really was hated at all. I'm pretty sure people loved him for being bad from the very beginning. But let me give you some fuel for the fire. Who won Mugello last year?
Yeah.
On what motorcycle? On what motorcycle?
Dovi. On a Ducati.
So would you say that this is kind of leaning towards a Ducati track, and Jorge should have won here, or at least one of the Ducatis should have won?
I definitely think this was where he would do well. Like, this is why I don't think he silenced the haters. Like, last year he does well and he gets a podium at like his track. And then last year he gets fourth at Austria. Like, this is one of the tracks where he should do well. So I'm not convinced he's turned the corner and found that magic thing. Like, what Jorge proved is in perfect conditions for him and shitty conditions for everyone else, he can win. But what Marquez has proved his whole career is that he can win in terrible conditions all the time. What Valentino was proved is that he can turn a terrible weekend around on Saturday night and find that magic bullet and somehow turn it around. That Jorge wins after 18 months in perfect conditions at Ducati's test track where Dovizioso goes 221.5 miles an hour, where they have such a massive engine advantage. It's not even funny, on a day where it's weirdly hot, where Marquez crashes out. Like, I'm not convinced this is the corner being turned, because basically it was the perfect setup for him to win a race.
Well, I'm convinced, and I'll tell you why. All right, because I'm going to be honest. When he got to the front, I didn't think much of it. As soon as Dovizioso got behind him, I thought it was only a matter of time until Dovi caught up to him. But Dovi didn't. He just kept on doing the Lorenzo thing where he punished you with his metronomic pace. So to me, this was a Lorenzo win more than a Ducati win.
I did expect the same exact thing. I kind of expected, in the beginning it was, when he was up front in the beginning, it was like, oh, in 6 laps he's going to fall off. Then he kind of makes it through the mid part of the race. And then I'm like, oh, he's going to fall off with 6 laps to go. And then he didn't do that either. And then I fully expected Dovizioso, I think he pretty much around 2 seconds behind up until the last couple of laps where he kind of, gave up to save the points and just managed the gap back to Rossi, which managed it to a hair. He only beat Rossi by less than a full second.
Yeah, less than half a second.
Yeah, exactly. I was on the same. Go ahead. You go ahead.
So I get a bunch of messages like, hi, I just listened to Le Mans round episode because we recorded late because Rob is sick again because he's got the HIV. Just kidding. But
I should probably just eat more. It would probably help.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And probably stop literally riding 100 miles on your bike at a whim. Because Rob can do that. So
Rob, what you need to do, he's way more hip than you. You need to be a vegan.
You need to be a vegan. The vegan cyclist, they're coming on strong. I only did 60 miles last week.
That's it. He only rode 60 miles, guys. That's it. What a bitch.
While getting over this snot sickness.
Right. He probably also climbed like a 512 and a V9 like the morning that he rode 60. So all
Kevin,
you guys.
What's your point, Kevin? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. My point is that goddamn Rob is an athlete. No, my point was like, yeah, exactly. Boom. Everyone was, not everyone, but I got some like funny messages because our fans love to give me shit, which by the way, I love as someone who's in the BrotoGP media. I like when you give me shit. What's your point,
Kevin? What's your point?
Was that like I made fun of Jorge, right? Like he can't win, he doesn't do well, and he only can get the tank and all those things. Damn, I lost my point because you guys kept interrupting me, asking me what my point was.
You were talking about Le Mans before you got started. Yeah.
Right, and what is the thing that he did different? Yeah, he got a tank. Yeah, he finally doesn't run soft. Right? I kept saying he only does soft. He runs 6, 7, 8 laps, and he's gonna fucking as showing that he has the pace so he can get a new ride. Repsol. And what does he finally do? So all you guys sending messages about how wrong I was. Yeah, I was wrong on the tank, I suppose, but he also didn't run the soft and didn't fall off at the end of the race and was able to put in his metronomic laps as soon as he had a medium section of the tire on there. So a little bit of vindication. But feel free to continue sending messages about how dumb I am because I enjoy it. But a little bit of vindication. He finally doesn't run the soft, and he wins a fucking race.
I'm gonna go look it up and see if anyone else was on the soft, because I don't think I remember any of the front runners running that combination.
I don't
Dovizioso
remember.
ran the hard
I mean,
front tire.
it was hot as balls. It was super
Yeah.
duper hot. Simon Crafar made sure to let everyone know it wasn't as hot as Queensland normally is, and that Jack Miller would do just fine because he's used to the heat. He crashed out. But right. But it was definitely warm. It was definitely hot. I had some friends that were there. They sent me some messages, said they got sunburned like a motherfucker because they have the same syndrome as I do.
Yes, no one ran the soft front tire in the entire field. So
right.
I mean,
so he doesn't run the soft front tire, and then he doesn't fall off at the end of the race.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. I kind of expected I guess I expected even with him on the medium, because you can see the tire compound selection, pretty frequently throughout the race along the left bar. I kind of expected him to even fall off there because of the things he had told us previously about his arm pump and his riding style. But now that you say it, I mean, if he fixed the arm pump, his riding style specifically is he brakes a little bit earlier. He shouldn't be using the front tire nearly as much, even though he carries slightly more corner speed. But it didn't fall off, so I guess I shouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, I mean, he finally gets the part that he wants. But this is the problem with winning at Ducati when you're someone like Jorge. Yes, he's a 3-time Premier Class champion, and yes, he's beaten some of the greatest riders that ever rode. But it has to be perfect. And for you to succeed at Ducati, you've got to work around that because it might take 6 races to get a new fuel tank. They simply do not have the part turnaround capability the other ones had. I mean, Casey Stoner, Dennis's favorite rider of all time, is famous for saying that, like, in his championship winning season, they got no development. You know what I mean? 2008, no development. I mean, they rode the bike that they got at Qatar, and they finished at Valencia with essentially the same bike. Now they've
2007. 2007.
Yeah, they've got more investment now, obviously, and they're winning and they're getting some adjustment. But Ducati does not have the resources to just throw constant updates and parts at it. So if you want to win at Ducati, you can't only win under your perfect circumstances. You've got to be Dovizioso, where you win in the rain, where you win in the dry, where you win when Marc Marquez makes mistakes, where you win with a little bit of guile against Marc Marquez. You got to be able to do it in different ways. It can't only be ideal conditions, other people aren't doing so well, and I lead from the front. I mean, yeah, he made that front tire last because he led from the front. He didn't have to battle, and he wasn't getting the hot engine air, keeping his tire hot, not getting cool drive. No, they said this literally battling when the guys were battling, they were getting hotter front tires because they were literally bunched up, causing problems with the tire not, that being out in front in this case. Could be bullshit. I'm just reiterating what what was reported.
Because they were getting hotter front tire temperatures because they were battling. That's just it. They were asking more. Like we've noticed that before, back when fuel regulations were more stringent, right? The people that were running out of gas were the ones that were battling because they were doing more crazy things with the throttle. Like if you're battling with someone, you're probably diving in on the brakes harder. You're not being as smooth. You're not running your perfect lap, so you get hotter tire temperatures. Mm-hmm. Well, I would very much question. I would like to see that data.
My point being is that he wins a race. Is he turned the corner? I'm not so sure because he wins the race at a super hot track with front tire issues, especially that, braking at the high speeds, and where Marc Marquez says from the get-go, we can only use the hard option, and I still don't like it. They're forced to use a tire he doesn't want to use, and then also Yamaha still having problems. I mean, they have problems with low traction situations. Maverick obviously sucked. Valentino Rossi limped home to a podium. Well, not limped. I mean, he fought pretty hard, but he was never in contention for the win. He was able to fight off a couple of guys, but he was fighting off Suzuki's. You know what I mean? This was not a normal podium for him for Jorge. No, I think everything worked out perfect for him.
Yeah, you've brought up Marquez, so let's transition to him. I mean, one easy way to see that the hard tire wasn't hard enough for Marquez was the fact that Rossi also ran the hard tire, and Dovizioso ran the hard tire, and who else ran the hard front slick? And Maverick as well. Actually, and Paul And that was it. Wow, not many people ran the hard front tire. That's kind of surprising to me. But
Well,
usually,
Marquez was saying basically they forced his hand and he had to run it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really want to, but he had to.
Yeah. And the asymmetric front tire, Michelin brought 4 front tires this time, the soft, the medium, the hard, and an asymmetric front hard. And the hard front tire, it would have been nice, except for the fact that the softer side wasn't medium. The softer side was soft. So anyone that chose to run, or anyone that tried to run the asymmetric hard front tire, the softer side just melted off because it was ridiculously too soft. But yeah, so
This is what I want to say about that Marquez crash, though. All right, like we know how skilled or lucky this guy is in all the crashes that he saved, and they're all impressive. But this one crash that he didn't save, to me, was the most impressive. I mean, he tried to save that thing in like an ungodly amount of distance. Like I have never seen that before. I was just
I
like
have it here
pure
on
amazing
video.
to me.
Here it is.
Show it
He's
right
holding
there.
it all the way out to the gravel.
It's insane. It's
The
insane.
the black line that was laid down by his front tire tells me that he was this close to actually saving it again.
But
yeah,
10
but
more
this is,
feet, he might have had it.
Oh yeah, that would actually been hilarious for him to crash for like 50 feet and be completely off track into the painted runoffs and then finally pick it up. Because I mean, even
Dude,
when he
yeah,
had that
exactly.
testing crash at what was it? I think it was actually here at Mugello a few years ago in testing. You know, he picked it up. He was blatantly crashed, but he picked it up like 5 feet later and was still actually on the track. For him to do that in the runoff area, that would be insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
it
would
was
be
no. I have to
matrix
agree with
style.
Dennis. I was sort of like stoked that he crashed once, because it was a slow crash. He was never hurt. He was fighting. He picked it up. But holy fuck, if I wasn't like basically he's Ron Burgundy, I'm Wes Mantooth. I hate you, but goddamn, do I respect you. That was a hell of an attempt. He was fully committed to saving that. There was never a point where he was like he thought I'm not good. He to the bitter fucking end.
Dude.
He was trying to save the thing. It was epic. I mean, look at the video that Rob just played. He might
Yeah.
play it again.
I'm just gonna keep replaying it. I
Loop
got
it.
the slow mo
That's
and
pretty
the
much like-
regular time.
That was pretty much like an almost glitch in the fucking Matrix right there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, Marquez almost woke up in a fucking goo pod, realizing
Right?
he was just a battery. You know what I mean? Like that was amazing.
We almost lost him to Zion, yo. We almost lost him
Goddamn,
to
Lawrence
Zion.
Fishburne almost popped up and fucking red pilled all of us. Fuck.
What would happen to MotoGP if he was just missing? Well, we wouldn't.
It'd be
They
way
would
more fun.
remove him entirely from the Matrix, so we wouldn't even know that he was there.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
means that
They'd
Valentino
they'd
Rossi would have
retcon
had
him.
another title, right?
Right.
Oh man, no, I mean, so a lot of people have already said that the reason why Marquez finally fully crashed, because let's be fair, he has crashed in every race so far this year, just not fully crashed. The reason why he fully crashed was because the booze that people were laying down all weekend finally got to him, and he went fully red mist.
Okay, I have something to say about this. Can I do my thing? I'm not gonna rant. I'm just gonna say like he
Wait,
spent
hold on.
all.
Don't tell people you're not gonna rant. Just fucking rant.
I'm gonna rant later.
Okay.
The dude straight up says, I can only use the hard tire and I don't like it. This is a points collecting weekend. We're not really in the hunt for the win. All those things. Okay. He's making perfect, mature sense. He's knowing this isn't the race to win. Championships are not won on one race, but they can be lost on one race. He's saying everything we think, fuck, this is the last thing we want to hear. This is mature Marquez. This is Marquez that knows he can win 9 races, and when he can't win, he just needs to get a solid 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, never be out of the top 5, and you can't stop me because all of the front runners already have multiple DNFs. And I'm thinking to myself, God damn it. But every time this dude rolls up on the screen, it's just booze galore. There are pictures circling the internet of them having graves with Marquez's like skeleton inside of it. There are literally toilets painted orange with 93 on them all over the track.
That's
everywhere, right?
that's real
And
shit.
They've had that one for years.
right, but I'm just saying, like, and so what happened? He tells us all this. And then what happens? Race morning, he is on the grid. He pops up, and it's just merciless boos, right? This guy's getting booed, excuse me, like you can't even believe. And then what does he do? He goes full red mist. On the start, he goes buck wild. He smashes into Petrucci. He's trying to maintain the leader pace, and he runs off and crashes. If you tell me right now that he wasn't trying to shut the boo people up and actually fucked up because of it, I simply don't believe you. This guy literally told everyone the night before that he was going to, play it safe, do what he could, realize this, and all those things were true. He didn't have the front tire that he liked, true. It was hot as fuck, true. It was a dangerous front straight. There was some problems and some worries, true. And the Hondas weren't looking that great. Look at the rest of the Hondas. Danny doesn't even get out of Q1, right? And
He crashes out in like this.
he crashes out like a fucking jackass trying to battle for
which
a
we
podium.
didn't see.
Right. So everyone, my girlfriend's coming in to bring me the charger for my laptop because I did not charge my laptop, and so now it's gonna die if she doesn't plug it in shortly. Die.
How did you give her signals for that?
You like that? That got fucking signal, son. I'm like
You're
a
just
fucking Navy SEAL.
What's the battery laptop signal? That's what we need to figure. I don't know. I heard the cats too. Bring them in.
Exactly. Bring in George. Right. Anyway, my point being, like, this guy did everything on Sunday that he straight up said he shouldn't do on Saturday. What was the one thing that was different at the round? Is that every single where he went, every time he showed up on camera, every time he's on the Jumbotron, he's just getting mercilessly booed, right? He's complaining because, like, they're trying to, like, Petrucci has one of the worst crashes you'll ever see, right? Horrendous. So bad I didn't actually post it because I'm just like, Piro.
Sorry.
Again, I haven't eaten anything since noon, and I'm drinking a bunch of wine, so it's going to be a good time in like another half an hour.
How was the rest of the Kit Kat?
I thought that you might get mad at me if I was just like...
Actually, unless you get really close to it, we can't really hear you Kit Katting. So
I heard it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
Piro,
it's not
right?
that bad.
Yeah.
And
Piro.
so Piro crashes. Everyone's horrified. Everyone's worried. Like a boss, he's okay. He's got this massive black eye, but he's not critically injured. He's injured. Just hits his shoulder, gets a black eye. It sucks. But then Marquez crashes like super slow and people cheer. And everyone wants to connect the two, right? Like, no one cheered. And no one would cheer if Marquez high-sided at 200 miles an hour and went limp like he was dead down the fucking straight. No one's going to cheer. But if he crashes super slow... If
they brought out the ambulance? Yeah.
Right. No one cheers that. But the dude is trying to connect the two and start saying if you're going to cheer a rider crash, cheer on the inside. So he's acknowledging the boos and these cheers against him. He's already showing the cracks that they are working. Is he still going to win a title? Yes. But don't tell me that Mugello, the boos and the cheers against him did not play a factor into him crashing out and riding like a jackass when he knew all weekend this was not the race. This was the race just to bring it home and get points.
I'll acknowledge all the stuff you said in the beginning, but you definitely started.
Thank you for acknowledging me.
With the connection between the Piro crash and the Marquez crash. Like, yeah, we're not the MotoGP fans. We've talked about this before. We're like fucking soccer hooligans at the moment. Like, you're gonna boo the people you don't want to win. You're showing your support for the sport by giving that 1-star review. Holy fuck!
Correct.
We're bringing this all the way back around. You
Full
got
circle,
your 5-star review for Dovizioso, and you got your 1-star review for Marquez, but that's still way better than a 3-star review. But shit, I lost my point there. Where was I going with that?
The point being is that no one is cheering actual injuries, okay?
No,
Marquez crashing on a front end save that was amazing. Like, we're excited. We're cheering because the championship just got closer. We're cheering because we now have a potential Italian winner, right? It's Mugello, Italian winner. They're going to storm the track. It's going to be amazing. By trying to force the connection between the two, you're trying to change the narrative. You're trying to you're trying to say that it's something that it's not. And when I see Marquez attempting to change the narrative, what I say is he's bothered by the existing narrative. Because Piro crashing has nothing to do with Marquez crashing. They're not connected.
No,
It's just two. They're mutually exclusive. They are not connected in any way. And I will tell you this right now: when Marquez crashed and hurt his eye, and I thought remember when he couldn't look up, and they thought like his career could be over back in Moto2. That would have been horrible. Even though the crash where he hurt himself was actually like him being like, a crazy Moto2 rider, that would have been horrible. No, this is the problem. No one actually wishes ill will. When someone posts a picture on Twitter of like a skeleton in a grave in a 93 jersey, it's just a fucking joke, bro. Like, it's not an actual, like, no one is voodoo spelling. It's just a joke. And this is kind of one of those things, like, MotoGP is expanding to new territories, right? Where we see more races every year. We see expanding in different parts of Asia. We see America. Like, the narrative that was trying to be controlled previously is different, where this is a multicultural, multi-country sport. And we're entering this phase where we're seeing new fans. Like, you see all these videos going across of, like, you see that video on Instagram of that kid taking his pillow and smashing the TV whenever Marquez is on it. He's like 12 or maybe 5. It's pretty funny, right?
I feel bad for the TV.
Right, I feel bad for the TV. Who lets a kid hit their fucking LED TV? That shit's expensive,
They
son.
probably have like 7 more or something. They're in Abu Dhabi and they've got a ton of them.
Right, or the bar in Indonesia where he crashes and they erupt in everyone's wearing Valentino shirts and they erupt in cheers. It's not cheering that he's potentially hurt. They're cheering because we know he's not and that he's out of the race. It's the same cheer that would happen if his engine blew.
The fact that he falls only 6 inches to go from actually his amazing 63 degrees of lead angle to just laying on the ground makes it much easier to cheer for his crashes. Especially in this instance, he, like we've already talked about, he tried to save it for 50 feet. And by the time he got to the gravel, he was doing 5 miles an hour. The chances of him getting injured, like when he finally fully crashed here, were very, very slim. Like, you could see that one coming. We're not going to wish ill will on anyone.
It was like, is he gonna crash? Is he gonna crash? He crashed. Yes, like it was like he didn't answer the 10 count. You know what I mean? Like, he got knocked out, and then we're all waiting to see if he answers the 10 count. Then we jump up and cheer. No one's cheering the boxer's actual injury. No one's cheering in UFC when a guy gets knocked out because he's in physical pain. We're cheering we're cheering because the guy we like now has a better chance to win. We're cheering because the title is closer.
Comparing it to boxing and comparing it to UFC is actually a pretty good comparison right there.
Right, because the number one thing that always comes up, I say, like, hey, man, they cheer when Michael Irvin broke his neck on Dallas Cowboys. He was on the stretcher and they fucking cheered while he had his neck broken, right? Or you see and LeBron gets booed just mercilessly at Golden State, right? That's part of basketball. You get they literally wave things in front of the free throw so you can't make it, right? Like, they go nuts. You see all that stuff, right? Like, that's part of sports. And the answer can always be, yeah, but they're not risking their lives. I'm like, bro, UFC dudes get knocked out stone cold. CTE is real. People die in boxing. Boxing is fucking deadly, and you cheer when Mayweather knocks someone out. You cheered when Mayweather knocked out McGregor. You cheered when, Roy Jones Jr. knocked someone out or got knocked out. That's part of it. And those guys are putting their bodies on the line, and those are deadly sports too. I don't want to hear it. No one's cheering actual injuries. Cheering or booing is just a cultural thing in certain countries and certain areas. And the problem is...
You don't even need to say that. It's in sport. It's in fucking sport.
Right.
Like, it's now potentially universal.
So my takeaway in all of this is that if it results in an injury, then it's not okay to boo. But when they're flopping like LeBron does, it's okay to boo.
Right.
Or cheer. depending on which side
Right.
you're on.
Yeah. Right.
No, I mean I was watching a cycling race last night, and it was a time trial, so people are going out by themselves, right? They're not actually racing directly against other people. And some dude crashed, and he just tucked the front into a 90-degree corner, and it's it's more dramatic on a bicycle because they don't have 63 degrees of lean angle, so when they fall over, they fall over really hard. And I
Boom.
jumped on the couch. Yeah, it was massive. I jumped, and I'm like, wait, why the hell did I jump? Because I see people in motorcycle racing crash all the time, and it's just kind of more expected. And I thought about it, and I think like I subconsciously knew this guy's only wearing a helmet and fucking lycra, whereas
Right.
Marquez has the best possible protective gear he possibly could have. So it's very likely that he'll be okay. The guy that crashed in the cycling race ended up getting he was in the top 10 or something even after remounting his bicycle. He would have won the fucking thing if he didn't crash. And it was insane. But I jumped. It was Go ahead, Kev.
If you go to a UFC in Brazil, listen to them chant and get a translator to translate what they're chanting. Generally, it's Vitor's gonna kill you or Machida's gonna kill you. It doesn't mean he's actually gonna kill you. It's just part of being emotionally invested. It just like, and what I don't, this is, I told Rob I wasn't going to talk about this, but real Kev is going to talk about this for a second. I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to say a bunch of shit. But today we got blocked by David Emmett on Moto Matters. And you know what? David Emmett is a grown man. If he doesn't want to see my tweets, that's fine. I'm not bothered by it. He's a grown man. I'm a grown man. You think I care if someone doesn't like my opinion? It's all good. The problem is he blocked me not because I said stupid shit all the time, because he's retweeted my stupid shit. You know what I mean? We've talked about this stuff.
Your stupid shit sells.
Our stupid shit sells. In fact, at one point, someone referred to us as the Barstool Sports of MotoGP, and he actually said that was awesome and that the sport needs satire. He blocked me 2 minutes after I responded to a comment in which I said that when David Emmett in his roundup on Saturday said that the boos actually make Marquez faster and you shouldn't do it because you're actually making the thing happen that you don't want to happen. That's the talking point that popped up. You know how like when you watch Fox News and all of a sudden they have the exact same talking point across Fox News, all the radio show hosts, the White House and all this stuff, and it's clearly a disseminated talking point. It's broader propaganda. The same thing happened on the English media. Suddenly, a week ago, heading into Mugello, when we knew he was going to be mercilessly booed, the talking point popped up that booing him actually gives him motivation, makes him faster, and you shouldn't do it because if you don't want him to win, booing helps. Which is totally made up and not true and a disseminated talking point by Dorna. So I said, and what was weird is he slipped that statement into an otherwise perfectly analytical breakdown of what happened on Saturday, which I always love. His stuff is generally very good. I've directed lots of people to his website here before and interacted them a lot. And I said he's literally just making that up. That is literally propaganda. 2 minutes later, I'm blocked. I'm not blocked for the crazy things I posted where a kid jumps into a garbage can saying, fuck this shit, I'm out, and that's what happens when you ride for Aprilia. I'm not blocked when I say that Jorge should embrace the villain role and become Ric Flair. He actually retweeted that shit. I'm only blocked the moment I say that he's disseminating Dorna propaganda, which is exactly what he's doing. And this goes back to the boo thing. They simply do not want him to be booed because the problem is this sport is effectively a branding machine. But the problem is certain riders are connected to the brand they ride for irrevocably. I was talking to Knack about this. He is Repsol. Right? So if you're he's been sponsored by Repsol since the get-go. You've never not seen Marc Marquez in Repsol colors. You've never not seen him in a Red Bull. When you see the pictures of him looking at driving the Red Bull Indy car, or excuse me, a F1 car earlier, he always has a Red Bull can. He's candidly drinking from his Red Bull like he actually drinks Red Bull. Come on, look at him. He's a fucking athlete. He doesn't drink sugar water. Right? But what happens is this guy is completely and irrevocably connected to all his sponsors. So when you boo Marc Marquez, you're booing Repsol. And what does it mean to be booing Repsol? The biggest, longest, and most consistent sponsor of the entire series. You're booing MotoGP itself as a branding mechanism. And this becomes a problem because what happens is this is my thing. Like, I'm not even mad that he blocked us. I'm not even mad. That's totally normal and it's kind of funny. And you've made it big time when legitimate outlets are blocking you, but then telling people that like they actually love your passion, but they're worried that it's fucking infectious. The problem is this guy blocked us because we pointed out that he's disseminating talking points because that's the only way he can get access. It's a connection to journalism. This is real Kevin talking now. Fuck alternate Kev. Fuck like drunk Kev. This is Kevin who's drinking wine from the Modern Art Gallery that he got at Hess Winery, who's been published by multiple art magazines, Image Comics, and actually a published writer and under multiple pseudonyms. This is normal Kev right now.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. But what I'm saying is like I'm not a total dipshit. I'm like half a dipshit. This is so half dipshit who's normally on BrotoGP, top half non-dipshit who's talking right now. The problem is look at media in general all over the world. You are finding that if you fuck the status quo, if you question your sources, you're denied access. Look what happens with the White House. They don't want these guys having access. Speaking UFC, Ariel Helwani writes for MMAfighting.com. Hold on. Ariel Helwani writes for MMAfighting.com. He's critical of the UFC regarding their unionization efforts. And what happens? Dana White blocks him completely, and it takes a massive online campaign for him to get his credentials back. If David Emmett even partially questions why fans boo Marc Marquez, even partially questions his dangerous writing style, he no longer has access. He no longer has his subscriber-only interviews. He no longer has that. What happens is we have the media no longer has the ability to be objective reporting because their access is only guaranteed via the approval of these large corporations. And this is not like he can't go to a White House press conference because this is an international organization. They're not beholden to anyone, to any government, to any state. If you even were to say, question, hey, why do you have races in Qatar? Qatar has straight slave labor. That's how the tracks are built. Don't say that shit because the Qatar round pays for the whole race's flyaways. If you were to say like, hey, Marc Marquez rides super dangerous and that's why people are booing, don't say that because by critiquing Marc Marquez, you're critiquing Repsol Honda. And if you critique Repsol Honda, why is Repsol Honda there? Because they're only there to be a branding exercise. And if they're not there, suddenly what happens? If Repsol Honda's not there in 2012, 2011, 2010, there is no MotoGP in the CRT doldrums. And so what happens is you simply cannot question the status quo. You have to actually be part of it. It's very telling.
That's a very serious accusation, not really against Moto Matters or David Emmett, but against Dorna and the controlling of their access.
It's not an accusation against Emmett because Emmett needs to make money to live. And I get that. You got to increase your dough flow because you can't bake without any dough. Real talk right now, right? You have to get paid. And that's what he does. But if you were to question these things, you can have your access cut off like that. Right? Done. Thanos style. They can fucking put up their infinity gauntlet where they got Repsol, Marc Marquez, Alex Marquez, Mark VDS, and Danny Pedrosa. And if you don't like it, fucking get out, son. Done. Hey, Rob, I don't feel so good. And I'm out. What I'm getting
we've never actually pursued a media credential from Dorna. I really question how difficult that process would be for us. I mean, I feel like we're going to have Yeah.
This is the realest motherfucking podcast out there because we're the only ones that are connected to a magazine that's completely dependent on these, to completely beholden to them. Look at Simon fucking Patterson is complaining because Dorna is televising all of their questions, right? When all this drama with Marc Marquez and Valentino, saying, why should we even be there if you're televising our questions? Yeah, why should you be there? Because they have your jock and there's nothing you can do about it. So MCN can either toe the fucking line or get the fuck out because right now you have a consolidation of the media in every aspect of our lives and there's nothing you can do about it. So if you want the realest shit out there, if you want actual opinions and actual people that say things, guys who are smart, who've been around, who've rode motorcycles, who say the opinions they have and are unfiltered. BrotoGP, motherfucker, because we are the only ones out there. Rob is smarter than any of those fat fucks that are on Twitter right now speaking for the fucking the MotoGP journalists. I guarantee you right now, those guys are complaining about the software they can't use and the Facebook algorithms. You don't even know what algorithm means, Patterson. Meanwhile, Rob writes algorithms for fucking fun, son. Don't tell me you're like a
Kev, last
A-rider.
time you went this big, you got Marco Melandri for dropping the energy, but I couldn't do it to you. You just kept building on this one.
Well, right, because you can't mark or lynch me right now, man, because I'm saying it real. Like, we're the only ones. It's weird that a couple of guys out of their fucking bedrooms and dens and offices are the most trustworthy shit you can get, because
this is a studio. This is a studio. You already told
studio,
everyone.
the Writers Law Studio, right? Because we don't get paid. So all you people like saying, hey, where are the shirts? How come you guys don't want money? You know what? Yeah, Rob, it's a good question. Where are those shirts? But we're the only ones who are doing this because we want to do it, because we want to spread info and we want to be your friends and we want to hear the shit and we want to give the shit. We're not telling you can't be around. We're not going to follow you or we're going to block you just because we don't agree with your fucking opinion. Taylor939 on Instagram disagrees with me every single fucking time. My man Jack and I don't agree on anything, but we're bros on Facebook, on this, all that stuff. I don't block anyone. There's one guy I don't like who I haven't blocked, but I erase every single comment he posts because that's funny to me. Swipe left, son. Swipe and delete. Anyway,
that's awesome.
They don't want to connect us back to Marc Marquez crashing because of the booze. They don't want him to be booed because this whole sport, when you break it down to it's fucking the thing of itself, Immanuel Kant, Arthur Schopenhauer, the thing of itself, it's advertising. This sport only exists to advertise, and there's no outlet to actually critique, listen, or get involved in what's going on in a bigger sense, except for us. Straight up. We're the only ones telling the truth. Because I don't give a fuck.
I wouldn't go so far as to say only, but we're the only ones that we know about. And
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Right, exactly.
Oh, man. Kev, you got me there. I mean, that
was way too comprehensive for me to either disagree or even agree. It just I got nothing on that one.
There were you brought a lot of points together, and essentially I feel like you channeled your inner Everett and took all of the facts and some subjective opinions and channeled them into a massive conspiracy theory against Dorna and the way that they control the media. And I mean, for them actually broadcasting all the questions in the interviews and everything, it does detract from the other media outlets that are trying to monetize their support of the sport. And it's probably a problem. I mean, but at the same time, though, I want to see all that information, and I paid Dorna for it. So maybe Dorna should not be charging for media passes at these events, right? Maybe they should be paying for people to write about MotoGP instead of the opposite, instead of paying, like, because there's no way that media credentials are free. I mean, even we pay for pit credentials for Moto America. So media credentials have to cost something.
Rob, clearly you don't know how Mafia works, man. You don't know how Mafia protection works.
Tell me with your deep voice. No, let's move on. Let's move on. I'm gonna play. I
got one more point.
You better make it quick.
A bunch of people message me like, ha, we should blow him up on fucking Facebook. Ha, we should send him 10,000 messages. Look, I could have 1,000 messages in his inbox in 10 minutes. Easy. Without even trying. Don't. He's between a rock and a hard place. I'm not going to talk shit. We have another person in MotoGP who blocked us after weird private messages, which we never brought up because we actually have a little dignity. And I'm not going to get involved. A couple people know what we're talking about. A little bit. So, all I'm going to say is, if you don't like it, David, next time I see you at Coda, fight me.
And that's where you just, I swear, you just lost 25% of people that were totally on board with you, and then off the cliff. Kev, yeah. We've had this discussion before. Like, if anyone tried to throw down with me and Kev was there, like They would be
If you
so
touch
easy.
Rob, I will fucking kill you. Straight up. It's not even nice about it. I will fucking kill you. If you try to fucking puff up on Rob, you better come at me, son. You don't even know. I will fucking brick you like Friday and I'm Ice Cube. Do not fuck with Rob.
Your the vein in your neck really came out with that one. It's great.
He was basically going Super Saiyan for a minute there.
BrotoGP is, of course,
like,
a joke. Writer's Law is
everyone-
not affiliated in any way with threats of physical violence.
Yeah, I will not actually fight you, but I will send you a strongly worded letter notarized by Writer's Law.
Also,
The best
I
part
feel
is
like
everyone used to think I was this like fat dude living in everyone's basement, and they're like, "Oh shit, he's 6'1", 195 with abs, and he's a fucking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion." Fuck with me, son. Fuck with me.
Well, that's why we brought out YouTube to show everyone that my deep voice is coming out of a reasonably compact person because I race motorcycles, and you're very, very. I don't even know the word for your voice, Kev. Give me something.
I'll tell you for my voice, bitchy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fucking
No, I don't
bitchy.
know. You do have a higher pitched voice than both Dennis and I, and yet you're the largest out of the three of us, and also
Easy.
the most physically I don't know, overpowering.
Intimidating,
Not
yeah.
overpowering.
As
Intimidating.
My friend
There's the word.
Raphael from New York would say, diesel. Diesel.
Diesel. As an
That's what he said.
adjective?
He said he referred to me as Diesel. He sent me a message. He was like, "I just finally fucking saw your guys' YouTube video. What the hell? How old are you, Kevin? But you look Diesel." I'll take that.
Cool.
Noisy.
All right.
We'll
We've
talk about actual racing. Rant
Yeah,
over.
we've spent a lot of time on that one. Shit, you may have to cut your rant that you were planning later short. But all right, no, I'm gonna play a video of a first lap incident here, which I'm sure you all know what we're talking about. Marc Marquez decide to pull a Marc Marquez on Danilo Petrucci, and just pretty much push him out of the way at the second corner. So a lot of people are well, of course, Danilo came out and said that he thinks that Marc Marquez should be penalized for this. That this is the kind of racing that shouldn't belong in MotoGP. I'm sure Rossi jumped in on it and brought up all the other shit from Argentina. I don't entirely agree with Petrux there, but I want to get your guys' opinion first. So we're gonna start with Dennis because he hasn't talked all that much during the rant. So
Dude.
Dennis, what do you think of Marquez and Petrucci coming together there in the second corner?
While you talk, I'm going to eat my Kit Kat in the distance.
None of us saw the Pedrosa crash, right? But I remember it. And the thing is that I don't even remember.
You
I
felt
don't-
it. You felt the Pedrosa crash?
But I don't even remember the Petrucci and Marc Marquez contact. Like that doesn't even register to me. So I honestly, if you don't show me the video, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll play it again, but even though I don't
Yes,
think you can
please.
see it. I don't think you
No,
can
I
see
don't-
it.
No, but that's my point. Is like it doesn't register to me right now because it was
Hashtag prepared.
no, it doesn't.
I just told everyone we were the realest, best information you could get out there, and Dennis is like, I don't know, I didn't watch it.
No, I'm saying is it's so not memorable. It's not registering right now, so I don't know what the big fuss is about.
All right, I'm gonna play it one more time. I think you can watch it this time. Can you
Yeah, I can
see
see it now.
the live output? Yeah, you see
Yeah,
Petrucci on camera. All right, here we go. Here's the video.
Oh, fuck. Shadow over him, son.
shouldn't have let everyone be delayed there on the iTunes, but yeah, no. So obviously it's the first lap of the race. It's going into the second corner, which I think is Luco is the name of the corner. It's probably some dude's name that I'm totally blanking on. And Marquez and Petrucci seemed, in my opinion, just wanted the same piece of asphalt.
That's
But-
standard first lap shenanigans in my opinion. Like that's nothing to complain about.
Go ahead, Kev. What do you got?
Okay. I agree in a vacuum. Standard first lap shenanigans. In fact, we all knew the first lap was going to be nuts. We all knew the first three corners are going to be kind of crazy. They actually talked about that on all the articles and comments and stuff, about the upcoming race, what you look forward to. The problem is, to paraphrase Claudio, head of Ducati, is that when you do it once, it's an incident. When you do it 15 times a season, it's a technique. Marc Marquez running into people is not an accident. It's not an incident. It's a tactic. That's how he races. He makes contact as a tactic. He literally connects to you and runs you off the track as what he's doing. This is part of his technique as a racer. It's literally part and parcel of his skill set. So
So
I actually, in a vacuum, total racing incident, not going to complain. No one crashed. Petrucci ran off. There was no issue. He gets back on. He connects. He does well. He gets a solid finish. That being said, this is literally a tactic in which this guy connects, collides, and suffers no recourse for it. If you were to count over the season how many times he does this, you start to worry about a trend you have to punish. The problem is
the
everyone in MotoGP continues to view this in isolated incidents. Like it'd be like dissecting words instead of the sentence the word is in.
so Dorna, or the not Dorna, because they don't actually do it. The FIM stewards are between a rock and a hard place with this one, because I tried to find a comparable incident where Marc Marquez was punished, and we got one, right. It's when he ran into Aleix Espargaro in Argentina. He pretty much, it pushed him out of the way. Aleix didn't crash, just like Petrucci didn't crash, and then Marquez was punished in that he had to drop one position. For me, this incident is less severe than that one, right? Because it's the first lap of the race. Like it's not that memorable, like Dennis said. They seem to both be kind of coming together onto the same piece of asphalt. Whereas with Aleix Espargaro, it was later on in the race. Marquez was blatantly faster. Marquez, like, there was no room between the inside curb and Aleix Espargaro. There was no room for the pass. Whereas in this incident, there was room for both of them. Like, if Petrucci hadn't turned in as much, or if Marquez turned in further, they wouldn't have even hit. So for me, it's hard to see this incident and think, oh, they should punish Marquez more or even the same amount for a similar incident, because it was that much less severe.
In the end, he crashed out, and so there was no punishment required. He didn't score any points.
Well,
I'm not worried
out,
about it.
Yes.
Yeah, he crashed, remounted, didn't finish in the points. Again, I worry about a guy who said he would change his striding style and changes it for one race and then returns to his style afterwards. It's a problem. It's like I've mentioned multiple UFC references this episode. Accidental eye pokes are one thing, or in boxing, accidental rabbit punches are one thing. What are you laughing for? I'm using an analogy.
No, I was thinking about the wrestling checking the oil. I'm sorry, that's a bad thought.
Oh, an oil check, son. You guys don't even know. For references, an oil check is when you stick your middle finger up their butthole to get them to explode and react. That's an oil check. If the ref's not looking, that shit is illegal. That being said, right, low blows in boxing, low blows in UFC. It happens in a fight, no points taken away. You start to worry if a fighter continually does it over multiple events, multiple fights. The problem with Marc Marquez is that every single one of these things in a vacuum is a racing incident. But if you continue to have the racing incident, I mean, look at Dennis has multiple, like Dennis's dog, right? If that dog shits on the floor once, hey man, he ate a little too fast. It's not his problem, Dante. You can't blame him. If that fucking dog shits on the floor every day for a week, Dennis is looking at his food going, I got to change something.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying, like, he's been shitting on the floor for multiple years, and every single time we just pick up the shit and no one wonders, what's that dude eating that makes him shit so much? We should change his food.
All I want to add is,
I mean,
Rob's
argue
not checking his messages. Rob, if you can just remove the live feedback and put your feed only, that would help us.
All right, sorry about that. No, what did you have a point to add that was related to the content that Kevin just said there?
Do you have a point to add regarding feces?
I mean, I see both sides of the coin. I can't argue with you there. I mean, from your point, Kev, Race Direction really missed an opportunity to go out of their way and punish him, right? Someone on one of the forums brought up, like, oh, if Race Direction's not going to punish him, then the riders need to do it. Unfortunately, no one on track can do it without incurring the wrath of Race Direction. The second they learn about it, that it was intentional, they're going to get penalized even more. If they actually make him crash and score 0 points, then they're definitely going to get a penalty.
You can't intentionally crash someone and risk injury. Like, that's fucked up, right? You can't
Yeah,
do
totally
that.
fucked up.
This goes back to the problem with my mini rant, is that Marc Marquez is synonymous with the main sponsor of the entire series, the most well-known sponsor. Mike Webb
I
is
wouldn't push that point too much, where that Repsol is the main sponsor of the whole series. But either way.
please shut the fuck up. Name me one sponsor that is title sponsored a major factory team as long as Repsol has. Fiat's long gone. All the cigarettes are long gone.
Major
Movie
factory
star
team is not synonymous with of the series. They provide a lot of money to Repsol Honda, but at the same time, so does Dorna.
I fully disagree with you. I couldn't disagree with you more right now.
I mean,
the whole sport
I bet you Monster. I wonder if Monster.
Bullshit. Monster wasn't supporting shit in 2000.
No. I wonder if annually Monster or Red Bull, through all of the racers and all the classes, are actually spreading more money around the paddock than Repsol is.
Doesn't matter. What happened with Red Bull? Look, they had the Yamaha 500s, right? They fucking took their money and bounced. They look at all the cigarette sponsors that are gone. Red Bull can eat shit. They sponsored the KTM, like Kenny Roberts bike, and then left and came back. I'm talking about consistent sponsors. All those sponsors, Red Bull, the KTM, all that stuff like that, they're good when the going's good. To Repsol's credit, Repsol was there in the shit. They were in there in the 1996 through 1999 era when no one gave a fuck about GP and World Superbike was where it was at. They were in it in 2010, 11, 12, 13 when it was the shitty-ass CRT area where there was 12 fucking bikes on the grid finishing, 13 bikes on the grid. Honda and Repsol basically kept the series alive.
I wonder,
none of those sponsors, every other major sponsor has bailed and returned at some point.
Yeah, but what we can't actually confirm is whether or not their continued devotion through the shitty times has actually gained them gain them access to Dorna in a way that they could influence the entire paddock, right? Because that's the conspiracy theory that you're pitching here. But either way, we know we are running out of time. We got to move on. Yeah, I know you want to keep talking about it, but we're not going to do it. I mean, we're going to move off the Petrucci incident because Dorna missed, or the FIM stewards missed their chance to punish Marquez, but at the same time, the incident wasn't really that bad. 15.
No one crashed, so I'm gonna say I don't think he deserved an actual penalty, but I do think that if penalty points still existed, the cumulative effect, that was the problem with penalty points. You're supposed to be given a point, and if it amounts to a penalty, that's different, right? Like running into someone and crashing them is worth 3 because you hitting someone's worth 1. But if you do it fucking 5 times, you're going to get the same penalty that would be equivalent of crashing someone out once. And the problem is they started treating the penalty points like penalties themselves instead of treating them as a trend. He didn't crash out Petrucci. Petrucci finished the race. He finished the race in a relatively decent position. It was a hectic first, couple of laps. No penalty should be awarded. But if penalty points still existed, I'd say give him 1 point. And if he does that 2 or 3 times, you knock 3-4 riders off the track and they have to rejoin safely is equivalent to knocking 1 rider off and having him not finish the race.
Yeah, and he would have started at the back of the grid by this point.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to some Italian podium finishers. We're talking about the Italian MotoGP round at Mugello.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. So we got Dovizioso in second, who brought it home in front of Rossi, essentially just managing the gap. Let Jorge kind of get away with a couple of laps to go, and then Rossi battled through Petrucci, Rins, and Iannone to get onto the box at Mugello.
You know what I liked about Dovi was he got second place at Mugello and he was heated. He said, like, I wanted to win. Like, this was not what we expected. Like, that's a fucking challenger, man. That's a fucking contender. He wasn't happy with second place while Marc Marquez crashed out. He wanted that win. He's hungry, son. I like this new Dovi. You know what I mean? Like, he was fucking there to win it. Second place is fucking first loser. So I was big on him. He's Ricky Bobby status. You're first or you're last.
When he finally comes to tracks where he'd won the year before, it almost seemed like he's now expecting to do well. He actually said that before the round. Like even with the Le Mans performance and him crashing out, he said we are going to be fast and competitive at Mugello. And to be honest, the entire weekend I wasn't really seeing that spark. Like we've talked about how Ducati is kind of slow to develop and they don't generally pull something out of the bag, but they seem to be doing that more and more with Dovizioso. And I mean, they even did it with Jorge Lorenzo. Um, it so for Dovizioso to finally get up there, I guess I'm going to be less surprised when he ends up on the podium after not qualifying on the front row and having amazing free practice performances.
Yeah, it was definitely a slow build for him, leading up to it. I'm stoked that he thought he could win, and he's not satisfied with the second place, even after what I would say poor qualifying and poor practice. But what he was able to do was steadily improve all the way up. He got second place on a Ducati. A Ducati got first, and Valentino was on the podium. This, like you said earlier, sure, I would have rather Dovi be on the top step with Jorge second and Valentino third or whatever, but I'm pretty happy with Dovi getting second place when Marquez crashes out. At least tightens things up a little bit.
Yeah, even though he wasn't anywhere close, and he's still 29 points behind.
Right.
Let's do the math. Wait, yeah, 29 points behind. Yeah, I mean, well now second through eighth place is still quite tight in the championship. 72 points down to 56 points with Cal Crutchlow in eighth position. So yeah, the championship is still tight, just not that tight for the top spot at the moment.
Especially if you consider the top guy has 2 non-point scoring finishes.
Oh god, it just means that everyone else is kind of choking, which is what we saw in the previous round. Because Zarco was up there in the title, Dovizioso was up there in the title, and they both managed to not finish the race. Like Maverick had a terrible performance and a bunch of terrible performances for him, and he was second in the championship until this round when now he's been surpassed by Rossi, who got on the podium.
Right, who somehow was able to again get a podium out of he got pole position and he had an amazing lap and all that. But the guy, you look at the conditions, what is the problem they've been dealing with? Late lap traction, it's super hot, low grip areas, and he still was able to battle with, some hungry dudes to get that third. I was pretty stoked for him to be on the podium. The Mugello fans are amazing, and it's really like kind of a spectacle to see it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I've got the Rossi picture up right now with every fan behind him. And we need to go. Can we go, Kev? Dennis, will you pay for us to go to Mugello next year, please?
Dennis, please.
Not next year because I got to go to Coda next year, so I got to use that money, but the year after, 2020.
Can we do them both, please?
Everyone's just gonna be like,
yeah, everyone's just gonna be like, Rob, just fucking sell shirts and you can go to Mugello.
Right. No, the only thing I want to add to this subtopic is actually a question for our resident Italian, Kevin. Like I said at the
Come on, Soriano.
Bellissimo.
So like I said at the start of the
like
I said at the start of the episode, how for an Italian Grand Prix, it was pretty good. We got Factory Ducati 1-2 and 2 Italians on the podium. But Kevin, would you trade this podium finish for an all-Italian rider podium, as in Iannone instead of Lorenzo?
I would trade anything for a Iannone podium at Mugello. Anything. In fact, watching that race,
podium there?
I was secretly rooting for Iannone against Valentino, if I have to be honest, for twofold. He got dissed by his team and he's gone, so to keep getting podiums would have been dope. He decided he would have a professional photographer following him around the whole weekend, take dope-ass artsy photos of him all weekend. Also, it's gone now, but they were watching porn on their Instagram and just put it on their stories. Like, how can you not root for that guy? He's like the greatest motorcycle. Like, he is such the personification of a motorcycle racer. Nah, man, like, would I trade Lorenzo winning was awesome. I'm not sure if I'd trade Dennis to answer your question. All Italian would be a dream. I was I would have preferred Dovizioso or Valentino to win. To see Valentino win at Mugello one last time, because let's be honest, it's on the downslope. Those wins, those podiums are fewer and far between.
He's got 2
also,
more chances.
Got 2 more chances at least.
At least.
But
at least. God, it better not
it's
go
slightly
further.
lower percentage ever than that. I'm just saying, like, an all-Italian podium. To see Dovi, Valentino, and Iannone on the podium all at once, I probably would have live-feeded myself jacking off.
Let's very quickly talk about Yamaha and their performance before we move on to non-racing stuff. So Yamaha at this round was really just kind of 1 for 3 or 1 for 4 if you actually count Hafish. Zarco had a very forgettable weekend. Maverick had an actually pretty good weekend until the race and just tanked. After the fact, Maverick has pretty much come out and said that the front tire had no grip. He felt like he was crashing every single corner. It sounded like from what he said that he got a dud Michelin front tire, which is a whole nother topic in and of itself. But then in the same time, he also says that this has happened before, that they get to Sunday in the heat in the race and he finds that there's different sensations, different feelings, different front end grip, and he can't perform. And we've seen this from him, like reasonably good practice and qualifying performances, 7th, 8th in the race.
Just can't. Sorry, you don't want me to zoom in and start talking, so I'm going to come in slow and talk to let the gains equal out.
I saw you thinking there in the background. You were really pondering how hard you were going to dive into this point.
You know what I was actually doing was almost falling asleep because I'm fucking drunk, bro.
I know,
You
no
need more
food,
tater tots.
lots of wine.
Yeah, exactly. No food, only red wine. God dang.
Dennis, take this point then, because
Take this point then.
Come on, Dennis.
I need to wake up.
I wasn't listening.
Holy fuck!
Again,
Come
I want to
on.
point out, I had a whole rant about how we were the best source of information you could find because it was the most realist, and Dennis just said, "I don't know, I wasn't listening." Dennis is the man.
I'm just keeping it real, bro. I'm keeping
Straight
it real.
up man. I don't know, I wasn't listening. What else were you doing?
I was watching you.
Nice. Okay. I understand.
So what you're saying is the video is now distracting the commentators on the podcast.
Yep.
Fucking A.
Here's the problem with Mav. The guy can go fast when the fuel load's light. You see him at the end of every fucking race coming on strong, running fucking pace of the leaders, even maybe faster. He simply cannot ride that bike on a full load, and it takes, half the race for him to find his sensation. It's nutty to me that he has such an inability to ride that bike, or Valentino is working around it. They have problems at Yamaha, and Valentino's simply handling it better than Maverick. And you've seen some of the comments recently with Maverick, like Yamaha promised me a winning bike, not that I'd be fighting with satellite Ducatis. His frustration is really boiling over. And once you're able to vocalize those frustrations and make it real, it's like you accept it. I worry that he's lost for the season because he's convinced the bike sucks. Whereas Valentino was just slowly building and doing what he can and getting those third places when everything works out. He's not Valentino capitalized on Marc Marquez crashing out, whereas Marc Marquez didn't. And you got to take what you can get when you can. Everything is 1/3 skill, 1/3 who you know, and 1/3 luck. And again, Valentino, he's skillful. He knows the right people. And when Marc Marquez crashes out, he's lucky and he seals the deal. You can't be lucky unless you put yourself in a position to take advantage of that luck. And riding around in 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th is not being able to take advantage of Marc Marquez crashing out.
And he did the same thing at Le Mans as well.
I just really personally wonder what changed on the M1 that he can't ride it outright from the get-go, because it wasn't always like that. His first 3 races on the M1 he won. So what changed that he can't
3
do
of
that
the
anymore?
first 5 races.
Right.
Yeah. And they've actually, Yamaha has said they've moved their chassis development and the chassis that they're running back to something more similar to what Maverick first had when you first started riding the M1. They've gone back to something more like 2016.
You know what? Fuck it. He just needs to go Laurento and get a new fuel tank.
Just a new fuel tank. I mean,
but
but it's odd. It's odd to
be beholden to corporate sponsors. I'm gonna go with a bitch.
I mean, I'm looking at the lap chart right now. Valentino ran his fastest lap on the first flying lap, i.e. the second lap of the race, 48.0, and Maverick ran his fastest lap on his ninth, 48.4. But at the same time, like as I look through the charts, Valentino was pretty much just faster the entire race and was faster at the end of the race when he saw Dovizioso coming back to him. So it's not like everyone is saying that Maverick is better on used tires compared to the rest of the grid, but I mean the lap chart doesn't show that here. And yeah, he may be able to move further up the grid a little bit, but it's not gaining him many positions towards the end of the race. It's just
As a racer,
I'm gonna.
Rob,
Hmm.
I was gonna say, as a racer, here's the problem. Like we've said that like a confidence worth 5/10 or whatever, right?
Yeah, at
You
least.
saw Valentino get reeled in by Andre Iannone and then suddenly be able to fight and put in fast laps and seal that podium. Valentino's faster because he puts himself in a position to get that podium. How fucking much faster can Maverick be when he knows that really trying hard and risking everything might get him fucking seventh?
Yeah,
That's the
when
problem.
he's
He's putting himself
fighting
in the
for satellite
position.
Ducatis and Cal
Right, when
Repsol.
you're fighting with satellite Ducatis, you're down on yourself. You know that like you're going to get seventh. It doesn't even fucking matter. Who cares? If you're not in top five, why are you even there at this point? There's got to be a motivation issue that's different when you know that 3 laps ago you're fighting with the maniac for a podium in Mugello, your home fucking race, and you're fighting with Alvaro Bautista on a Ducati for seventh. Who fucking cares?
That
Who
was a bad
cares?
look. Fucking, I was
Bad
watching the
look.
race with Kelsey and was wondering whether or not he was gonna get Bautista, but it thankfully didn't happen.
Right.
No, I
Right,
mean
almost
to
better
bring
if
this
that
back
happened.
to bring this back
Excuse.
around to Yamaha and their development, like I wouldn't actually say that Yamaha has made serious inroads in their issues, right?
Nope.
Sure, it was hot at Mugello and Rossi got on the podium, but again, Marquez crashed out and Rossi just seemed to turn his pole position into a consistent performance. And then the two other Yamahas that should be competitive, Zarco and Maverick, were absolutely nowhere. I think Yamaha is still absolutely screwed. But to your point, Kevin, Rossi is taking advantage of everything that is thrown his way.
Yeah, exactly. He's simply doing the best with what he's got, and he's making the best of it. And
Yeah.
and Maverick isn't making the best of it. I mean, he picked up a funky chick from the bar, probably a one bagger at least. It didn't really work out, but you know what? He's gonna get his. Where Maverick's just like can't even get it up because he's just thinking about like that girl from fucking 2 years ago that was super duper hot, and he's like, man, that one time I had that super hot chick, and Valentino's like, I don't know, I'm not trying to get my nut.
When you say one bagger, where does the bag go?
What? Over the head, son?
Okay. All right. Just double checking there. Double checking.
Oh, you meant like a chick so funky that you got to double bag it because you might fucking. You mean because
that's what I was wondering. That's what I was
Nice.
wondering. Yeah. No. Okay. No. I got you.
That's Aprilia bad, not Yamaha bad. I mean, you go ride the Aprilia and you've got full blown AIDS afterwards. Fucking straight up. Like, don't even bother. You go
Dude,
ride
that's
the
not
Aprilia
even a
and
thing
it's
anymore.
over.
No, you gotta pick something that can't be cured these days. No, never mind. Never mind.
They can't.
No, I mean my last.
Bro, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes, that was the wrong word. The cocktail works. There was that one guy that was cured of AIDS. That one
Magic
guy.
Johnson? He injected
No, not him.
$375,000 directly into his bloodstream. That's the cure for AIDS. You just have to be a millionaire.
South Park knows all. No, my
Yeah.
last point about Maverick. Last episode, we were talking about how he was on the outs with his crew chief and was going to get a new one. Turns out they've now made up, and yet he has another one of these terrible performances. Like, I still think that he needs to ditch the guy and find someone else. This is actually his worst performance of the year, 8th position. He got 7th the last 2 rounds.
Right. You got to make a change. And like we said before, and like Valentino Rossi the Burgess, can't change the bike, can't change Maverick Vinales. The only thing you can change is the guy who tries his best to gel those things together, get someone new. Maybe it'll work out. You never know. I mean, fucking Gobrassi worked great for Valentino, and that guy had almost no experience. Sometimes you just need an outside perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, maybe Maverick will get that through his head. He obviously is having serious confidence issues right now, and it's not doing his race performances any good. Like, if I thought that every single time I went into a race,
You know
that
what Mav needs to do?
Tell me.
So there's all this talk about Yamaha running 3 factory bikes next year. They need to stick Mav
Bullshit.
on a hold on, in World Superbike. They need to give Mav a wild card at Brno at World Superbike, have him get a double. This is what we refer to people as a slump buster. In baseball, if you're having a bad time, you're striking out a bunch, they send you down to the minors, you hit a bunch of home runs off of some scrubs, and you're back in it. Or you are a girl, or a guy, you break up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you're having a hard time getting back in the game, you can't work it. Let's say you're at 8. So normally you like to date 7, 8s, or 9s, right? Like you never want to go too far below or above your point scale. But sometimes you got to hit a slump buster. Sometimes, even if you're a 6, but you've been out of the game for a while, you just got to pick up a 3 at the bar and fucking rail it, son. You just gotta do it. Or if you're a girl, you just got to pick up that fucking Dungeons & Dragons loser and you just got to fuck him till the cows come home to get back in the game, to get your groove. How fucking what's-her-name got her groove back? You know what I'm saying? You got to hit a slump buster. Send Maverick over to Brno on a factory Yamaha. Let him beat up Sam Lowe. I mean, if there was ever a fucking slump buster, it's fucking Alex Lowe's. Straight up. The slump, he's the worst of the Lowe's brothers. That is some bullshit. If you're the slowest of the Lowe's brothers, you're a solid 3 on the fucking 1 to 10 scale. Send Mav to World Superbike, slump buster it up, get his nut with a couple wins, and get back. It worked for Valentino. He breaks his leg. They send him out. And what did he do during that test? He found his fucking crew chief that got him back to his winning ways in GP years later. Mav needs to slump buster it up. Even if it's a double bagger. And this time I'm talking about bags down low. You got to do what you got to do to get your groove back. Sometimes you got to bust your nut and just be done with it. No one has to know. No one has to see. And no one will because no one watches World Superbike. And we'll all kind of hear about it in whispers later. But no one will really talk about it because we've all been there and we all know. So no one wants to talk some shit. And be done. Go back to GP. You just won some World Superbike races. You beat up some scrubs and you're good to go. You got your confidence. How Selma got her groove back.
Dude, a double double with Yamaha World Superbike, one with
Yes.
Vandermark and one with Mav, would be fucking amazing, and we would talk about it. But it would be hilarious for sure.
Right.
All right, let's move on though off of Yamaha. Actually, let's move off of racing entirely and talk about all the shit that happened essentially the second the race was over. So first thing that really came out was that Dani Pedrosa is not going to be at Repsol Honda next year. Dennis, I feel like we got to go to you first on this one because I know you.
He's still thinking about my slump buster comment. It's real, son. I know from experience. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Come on, Dennis. Show us some Dani love.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's retiring. I think he's
Really?
remain. Yeah, I think he's gonna stay in the grid racing. Just a question of on what, but I don't think he's retiring yet. I'm a little bit sad to obviously see the end of an era, right? Dani Pedrosa and Repsol Honda.
Say his
But
last name again for me, please.
Who?
Oh, with the new mic, Pedrosa. So,
so good.
Kill, son. Just fucking top to bottom. From my chest tubes to my ball fro.
right. No, I mean, we've been waiting for this, right? Some of us have been asking for
years.
Yeah, to see the end of the line for Repsol and Dani, but where we're at now, where that's finally happened, I still don't think that Pedrosa is going to be retiring. I think maybe for him, he's going to see this as an opportunity to not light the fire again, but just like a new adventure, right? Same book, different chapter on a different bike. So
he has explicitly said that he wants a new adventure in his career, but he's not really telling us what it is. And if there was still a factory KTM seat open with Mike Leitner, who is his ex-crew chief, I would kind of agree with you. But the only thing really open over there is a satellite, well, supposedly a factory number 2 seat open at Tech 3 KTM.
Well, that's well. What about the supposed Yamaha satellite Yamaha that Jorge was going to ride before the Ducati signing?
The one that doesn't exist that Marc VDS can't get their beer money to pay for because they're pulling out of GP, and supposedly Petronas, the sponsor that has honeypotted us to shit before is going to pay for. And
Yeah, that one.
Morbidelli is for sure getting a ride over there. Like, what the hell are we talking about?
My girlfriend just texted me, "Oh, you know about Slump Busters, huh? We're gonna have to talk about that when this episode is over." Then you out of the room.
Oh, she's listening. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Luca ignores me when I'm recording. She's just watching like Housewives of Orange County or something right now.
No, Rob.
Here's the
That's
thing.
wait, no, Rob, that's futile. Women
It's-
never ignore what
Yeah,
we're saying.
you crazy, Rob. If you think
Never.
you ain't listening,
Okay.
bro, what are you doing?
Bro to bro, I'm trying to save your life.
Bro to
in the
bro,
future.
right, exactly.
They're
Bro to
never,
bro.
they're never
She
not.
sends, she sends the cat outside the door to spy on me, and then hears it from her. A bunch of women in the house.
Yeah, exactly. Let me to talk about realness for a second. I'm a little worried about his next ride. Danny's basically been with Repsol since high school. He's been with the same chick his whole life, and now he's in his mid-30s. His hair's receding. He's not in the shape he once was. He's a little beat up. When was the last time you knew a dude who broke up with his wife after 12 years of marriage fresh out of high school, and the first chick he fucked was like an advised chick? No. He's going to find some chick that's already got like 3 kids, a part-time job. She's on food stamps. She's kind of fucked up. She's got a lower back tattoo, probably a tribal band. It's bad news, man. No one ever makes the right decision afterwards. It's never the right decision. The problem is he needs to go make a bunch of bad decisions first and then find the one. But he can't do that because he's too old. So the first bike he's going to ride is going to be so fucked up. This is going to be such a mistake. This is like Caparossi leaving and going to Pramac Ducati when they were still running the fucking monocoque frames. It's bad news written all over it. He's going to be at the fucking clinic getting a shot in his dick afterwards. Ruin that he ever went with that fucking chick he met on Tinder swiping left. It's just no good. Danny, retire. Just retire. You had a great run. It was all good. You won 31 races. You had a grip of podiums. You had like 30 or 40 fucking pole positions. You had an epic career. Anyone who bitches at you for not winning a championship, he was held to an impossible standard from the get-go, as if everyone's career is a failure if they don't win the championship.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing is, one, Danny Pedrosa doesn't really have anywhere to go that that isn't a completely shit ride or something that's well below his caliber. And two, even if he, like, say he goes to a satellite KTM and takes Hafish's ride over there, like, we're just gonna put him under a magnifying glass, and it's not gonna be good for his career. Excuse me. It's just like he needs to retire to go out at the level that he's at. If we see him fall any further, it's not going to be a good look for him. And what is he going to go to? Is he going to go be Camier's teammate on a Honda in World Superbike?
Right. There's nowhere Danny can go that can take advantage of his skill set, because at the end of the day, this sport does require you to have the right machinery under you, and that machinery is not available. There's no Ducati, there's no Suzuki, there's no factory Yamaha. Remember when Valentino was leaving Ducati and he said that if he had to stay Ducati, he would retire? And there was basically two options: go back to factory Yamaha for fucking peanuts, or go to a high-end satellite. You know, they was talking he could go to Grassini Honda, and he said, I can't go to Grassini Honda. I can't take a satellite Honda because in the end, you can't win championships on that. You can't win races on those reliably. And that was in the Bridgestone era, so it's a little different now. But
yeah,
any major step down for Danny just becomes like, oh God, no one wants to remember Chuck Liddell getting knocked out 3 times before he retired and that kind of stuff. I would prefer, personally, I hope Danny can win a race this year and then bow out knowing that he won a race every year of his career and I'm done.
That's always the Kev prediction, right? It's 2 parts. It's he's going to win at least 1 race every single year, and that he will never ride for anyone else but Repsol Honda. And I'm going with you. I still think you're going to be absolutely right. He needs to freaking retire to save. Like, I need him to meet my expectations so that I don't lose faith in Danny Pedrosa. That's really all it is.
I like Danny a lot. I don't hold it against him that he crashed in Nikki in 2006 and didn't go on anything. And I don't hold it against him that Honda favored him over Nikki in 2007 and 8 because that's not up to him. And if you're a rider who's trying to win championships, you want to be favored. That's his
And
job.
2006.
Right, 2006, and he won multiple races as a rookie. I'm not holding any of those things against him. That's a complaint against Honda if you have a problem with that, not against Dani. Don't connect those two because Dani's job is to get the best bike he can and win. Giving Dani a good bike is not mutually exclusive from giving Nikki a good bike. That was up to Honda in 2006, running him with that Bruno bike, as they called it, with the clutch, and that was up to Honda's corporate fucked up, their fucked up corporate structure where the test rider wouldn't tell them that the clutch was overheating because he was being afraid of retribution against him. Speaking of conspiracy theories, that's an actual thing that happened. And it turned out his bike was fucked
Objective
because the
fact.
test rider wouldn't tell anyone. That's an actual fact. I like Dani a lot. He opened up, and I really kind of hope he wins the race and retires. The idea of watching him fade into irrelevancy on some kind of satellite bike or going to ride for like Aspar Ducati now, man, come on. Because he's going to have to override those satellite bikes. He's going to crash or hurt himself again. The dude's been hurt too many times. Like, hang it up, start a team, build some cool, have Dani Pedrosa Racing, have a cool-ass Moto3 team, have a Moto2 team, do what Valentino did, but Dani Pedrosa style. Because right now, Valentino is taking over MotoGP with Italians. There hasn't been a fucking Spanish winner in Moto2 yet, son. So let's let Dani get in there and do his thing. I like Dani. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's do another quick recap of the other things that happened in silly season before we get to the main talking point. Andrea Iannone is still slated for the other Aprilia seat. Yeah, Kevin is unhappy about it. It's a step down from the Suzuki. I don't feel like we need to talk about it all that much. It's just kind of downward spiral. We're not happy about it, so I'm gonna move on. Jack Miller is now
exactly
going to
what
get...
I said.
Yeah,
He's not getting called up. Everyone tried to say, oh, he's going to, he can move up the factory teams. Everyone thinks they have this love affair with fucking Australians because of Case Center and Troy Bayliss. They don't love those two because their ethnicity and their nationalism don't connect those two. The reality is Petrucci was always ahead of Jack Miller in line. He was always more favored than those two. And when push came to shove, Jack Miller crashed out and Petrucci's going to get the call up. It seems to be all but done. And, I'm not surprised. Petrucci put in the work. He got consistently good results. He'll be a solid number 2 rider. And at some point, you also need to promote from within to prove to other people that going to your satellite team is worth it.
Yeah, and Miller is actually going to be in the position that Petrucci was in. So he's going to get the GP19 at Pramac and then the GP20 the following year. So if Petrucci flounders, Miller's in line for that factory ride. And if Ducati kind of continues the same thing, he might actually get it. So that's the other news, is that Petrucci is moving up to the factory team alongside Dovizioso. Also all but confirmed. Was that one actually confirmed?
It's like sort of confirmed by the same guy that confirmed that Dani was leaving and that Jorge was leaving. So like it's all but confirmed, but it seems to be like, obvious. I mean, it's reported,
the only one
but
that's
not confirmed.
actually confirmed is that Dani Pedrosa specifically said that he's not racing at Repsol next year.
And HRC specifically confirmed it.
Yes, exactly. So all the rest are very likely.
The big bomb drop is that Team Boo will finally exist. Team 2015 dual holding championship winners Marc Marquez and Jorge Lorenzo will be partners next year, with Jorge Lorenzo moving over to the Repsol Honda for a cool $4 million, which is quite a bit drop down, an $8 million a year drop, but going to a race winning machine, championship winning machine. Let's see what he can do. I don't know.
Wait, he's going to get $4 million a year at Repsol?
That's what I've read.
Damn, I would not have paid him that much. I would have been going for 2 or 3, because 2
Sounds
or 3
a lot
like
of Spanish oil, maybe.
Yeah, right. Like Dovizioso was making $2 million at Ducati last year when he was fighting for the title, and actually, I think even this year he's making $2 million at Ducati, of course with performance bonuses. But then in his new contract, that's one of his main points, is that he's been fighting for a significant salary increase because he is the title challenger. Jorge was getting $12 million a year for nothing, right? For his a couple podiums. So and now for his one win, and Dovizioso, it's a far better. It'd be far better for Dovi to take a large chunk of that pie. But 4 million a year, damn. Like I guess Yanone was getting about 2 million. I think Rins was on like 750,000. We're all talking euros here, not dollars. But like it seems like the lower spec or the second the second fiddle rider in a factory team should be making about 2 million a year. I'm sure Rossi and Maverick are both above that, but for Jorge to come off of terrible performances and to go to a bike that he doesn't know, that we probably will see him struggle with in the beginning of the next season.
But here's the problem. Like we saw, Jorge wasn't their first choice. Apparently they offered it to Mir and he said no. They offered it to Miller and he said no. They offered it to Zarco and he said no. Repsol Honda has a serious image problem, which is that no young guns want to ride for them. No one views them as a future in MotoGP. No one views them as the major stepping stone. The idea that in 2018, if you were offered a Repsol Honda ride and you would turn it down is fucking insane, especially going back to someone who's been following MotoGP for, 25 years. So there was a point where you would, in 2004, you would kill for a Repsol Honda.
Oh, you
in
would have ridden for
2003,
free. You would have ridden for
you
free.
literally would have ridden for free. At one point, Christopher Mullian offered to ride the Tech 3 Yamaha for free. That's how much you needed like one of the top tier bikes. So the idea that you would turn down the Repsol Honda shows a major problem with Honda is that one, no rider views them as going to be listened to or paid attention to. And, Jack Miller turned it down because you already saw what HRC support actually means. Bullshit. This goes back to, we've joked about booze, but when you view is that the team only exists to support Marc Marquez, at some point you don't want to be there. And we've seen this now with multiple riders. So Jorge took the ride, but where else was he going to go? There was nowhere else to go.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised that he managed to get 4 million out of that. Like, so HRC brought their number up because everyone was saying no. And at the same time, they didn't lower their number because Jorge legit has nowhere else to go.
Right. Normally they would have lowered their number if he had nowhere else to go, but they were facing the who are we going to promote Alex Marquez? Even they're not that dumb looking the fact that he can't beat anyone in Moto2 right now. You know what I mean?
So he could come in and lose to Pecco on a GP18 on a
exactly.
bike. Oh man. I mean, Dani Pedrosa, he didn't finish this race. Like, I do suspect that Jorge with consistent finishes will do better than Dani this year. I mean, Dani's got a best finish of 5th and he only has 29 points. Even Jorge on the Ducati is beating him by now.
Okay,
Right.
so setting aside this image problem that Repsol Honda might have, Rob, do you actually have an opinion on how Jorge could do on the RC?
Yeah, I mean, he'll do better than last year on the Ducati, because I think that I think that the bike, the RCV, is one. It's definitely the best motorcycle on the grid at the moment. So even barring the fact that like the Ducati still has higher top speed and the RCV doesn't seem to have the mid corner speed that the Yamaha does and that Jorge favored for all his Yamaha championships, I still think Jorge will do better on the RCV than he has done on the Ducati.
Go back and look at the history of the RCV for Repsol Honda. To go back and find a rider who rode for Repsol Honda that didn't win a race, as far as I can tell, just using the old brain noggin, you got to go to Max Biaggi in 2005. You have Casey Stoner, you've got Marc Marquez, you've got Dani Pedrosa, you've got Andre Dovizioso, you've got Nicky Hayden. You have so many people that have won races on that bike. Basically, every factory rider that has rode for Honda, despite their number 1 or number 2 position, has won a race, going all the way back to Max Biaggi not winning a race.
And even Dovizioso's performances were like, even if he only won that one race at Donington, if I'm not mistaken, he still had many podiums. And there were a few times where he was battling for the win and just kind of crashed out of it. Right? It's not like he was hanging out in 7th place every single race.
You should win a race if you ride at Repsol Honda, regardless of your number 1 or number 2 status.
Yeah.
Because Marc Marquez isn't the first. Marc Marquez is not the first golden boy of Repsol Honda. You know what I mean? Like,
but we don't really doubt that Lorenzo on the RC is not going to win a race or is going to win a race. But I think, I guess the question is Is he a better rider on that RSU right now than Dani? Or could he be a better rider than Dani?
Y- Yeah,
Lorenzo
I'm
is
going
better
with
than
yes.
Dani Pedrosa in every facet. They can't compare the two. As much as I love Dani, Lorenzo's won 3 championships, bro. Like, there's no comparison. Lorenzo is a better rider than Dani Pedrosa. He is better. There is no way you can compare their skill set and think that Dani is as good as Lorenzo. They simply aren't.
Even
Danny
if we go with even if we go with the skill set of morphing your style to fit a new bike, Dani Pedrosa's never really tried aside from the major differences between the 990 and the 800 and the 1000cc
right.
RCB. But Jorge has now succeeded in learning to use the rear brake, in learning to favor like corner entry and corner exit as opposed to mid corner speed more, and tell the Ducati engineers the correct things to get him to be able to go faster on the
In the
Ducati.
end, he proved that with the right parts and the right circumstances, he could win the Ducati. Repsol Honda has a higher budget, a bigger engineering department, a bigger race department. I mean, that was what Repsol Honda made that joke like way back in the day was, you know, we could just buy Ducati if we didn't want to compete against them. You know what I mean? Like you could
Yeah,
buy
right.
them like for dividends. You know what I mean? They want to compete against the best, so that's why they weren't like mad per se when they won in 2008 and all that stuff because like they're there to be the best motorcycles. There's absolutely no way that
2007. You said it
2007,
again.
whatever. What did I say?
You keep
2008.
saying 2008 that Casey Stoner won
He
the
won
Ducati.
more races in 2008 than a fucking Honda did. The fucking
Yeah,
point
that's true.
stands.
The 800cc Honda was terrible. It had
It
no
was a
front end
dog.
feel. Yeah, it
Right.
was the worst bike they've ever made. It took them how many years to actually win a championship until Casey
Right.
Stoner came in and
Until
pushed
Casey
it for
Stoner
him.
took it over on the 1000. But but my point being is that if Lorenzo needs the right tools for the job, maybe he's not the guy that forces the win, but if he has all the right tools, he can. Repsol Honda is going to get him those tools faster and more consistently than Ducati is. He's going to win
I
a
do
race.
think
And he's going to be the
yeah,
first guy since Flores Caparossi to win the race on 3 different marquees.
I do think that Repsol Honda will kind of hinder themselves in they'll spread the development out a little bit. I'm making the assumption here that Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa are more similar riders than Marc Marquez and Jorge Lorenzo. Because of that, Repsol Honda will have to spread the development a little further apart. They'll have to have slightly different solutions. But we've already seen they'll bring 6 different chassis to a test and they'll let both their riders pick completely different chassis. Ducati doesn't do this. They don't have the resources. They can't do it. So if there's a single team that can support 2 vastly different riders, it's going to be Repsol Honda. I mean, this is not 2006 when they give one rider like a smaller engine to test for the following year. And this is they are throwing the full might at it. They may not be getting huge Dorna subsidies anymore for being the largest factory. I mean, they still might, but it's probably reduced because Dorna is now subsidizing the privateer teams considerably more. But they still have that investment. They're still providing a ton of technical support to their riders and doing mid-season development that Ducati simply can't do.
Correct.
Oh, dramatic pause. Oh man. All right, I think that's it with Jorge. I mean, he's said specifically that he's going to be on a competitive bike for the next 2 years. The satellite Yamahas with Petronas or run by a sponsored by Petronas and run by a team out of Sepang, it's not looking nearly as likely as him going to HRC. So I've got to go with this rumor as being pretty much true. I mean, he told us that he was going to be on a competitive bike even kind of before we heard about Petronas sponsoring this team, this imaginary team.
It makes clear, it just makes clear sense that he's going to go with the Repsol. The Repsol is not able to find riders. Look, you're not going to, this whole Johnny Ray rumor is fucking retarded. Just stop it. You know what I mean? Like
that was perfect on Ray's part. Like he told the right people that he was talking to HRC. He likely talked to HRC just to increase his negotiating tactics.
That was a disseminated rumor by Dorna themselves to get people to watch World Superbike more by claiming that the reigning champion was factory Repsol caliber rider. We all know he's not. but that got everyone to look over at Ray and think, "Oh, what's going on over there at World Superbike?"
Well, we'll have to see how many fans are in the stands and on the hills at Brno to
7,
actually find out if it worked. 7? Shit, dude. Dude, we gotta
a
go.
solid 7.
All right, I'm calling this
There'll be
one.
7
Dennis
dudes, 7 dudes there, and there'll be 19 Z's collectively in their names.
We'll have to ask Carl.
And
how to
only
pronounce
one
them
of
all.
those 7 guys will have a valve in his last name.
All right. What's the next MotoGP round we got coming up? Don't we have
What
Catalunya
I want to know
next?
is, I got a lot of messages when the next Rob's tech tape is. That shit is popular, son. Where are you gonna have that tech tape?
That is a very good question. I am currently in the process of prepping for Laguna, so if I find the time to tech it up for all you people between now and when I have to race, I will do it. I'll probably I'll hit you up on Instagram and on Facebook and in the BrotoGP Army on Facebook if I need some tech questions. There have been a couple that have been popping up, and all of our fans are already answering them. So I feel like I haven't needed to do that yet. But all right, Kevin is falling asleep back there. He needs more tater tots. Dennis has children and a dog, and he needs to go.
And
And
the
I'm gonna
wife.
go
Oh my
eat.
God, man! Come on, don't forget the woman.
Oh man.
Wait, actually, Dennis, real fast, show us the new lady in your life.
Oh, my little black beauty. Right
Please,
there.
please do,
What?
please do, please do.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, everyone, just to
Oh
let you know,
snap!
Dennis crashed his first love too much,
Uh-huh.
and he doesn't really he wants to repair her, but he doesn't want to take her to the track again. So we bought another.
Right.
And
So
he's not the kind of guy to go with like the shiny new hotness. So we found something that is it's your speed. It'll work out. We got to set it
I,
up, but we'll figure it
I,
out.
yeah, I'm masochistic, so I want the hardest one to ride to get my satisfaction.
You literally bought the motorcycle that no one outside of Graves Yamaha or Ben Spies could race successfully.
Watch me.
But you're not going to race it though. That's the thing. Track day
That's
champion right over here. So it'll be perfect. We'll
Yeah.
ride on
B
track
group
together
champ.
sometime.
B group champ.
Don't give him the B group. God damn it. We had many talks and we got him firmly out of B group. He now opens the throttle all the way, every single tiny straightaway.
Just brake later and give it more gas earlier. It's not that hard, guys. You brake later and you gas earlier. Like brake gas. Whoop, that's how you go faster.
Racing tips from Kevin right there.
Yeah, boy.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
No,
All right,
right.
everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode. We will catch you we need to find the time to do a Moto America episode and maybe some World Superbike if Brno is awesome. That will be coming up shortly. And then, of course, we will catch you after the Catalunya GP, which is in a week and a half from now. Thanks for listening. Like, share, and subscribe to this video. If you're on iTunes, definitely drop us a review because it really helps out. Tell all your friends. Peace.